Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. How's everything going? Hey, I wanted to basically get started. This is our second Mindset Monday. And actually, the first one was on my Coaching with Drew business page. And today I thought I'd just put it on my main regular personal page because we're going to talk about a mindset around money. And so, oh, my wife is joining us. Hi, honey. Um, hey, Jane. Hey, Jan. Hey, Hope. Good morning. How are you guys? So I wanted to just kind of briefly, if you didn't catch my last video that we did last Monday, a little brief intro about myself. I am a what they call a productivity coach, which really is just a business coach. So what I do is I work with real estate agents, but I think the topic today about money affects everything. I think it affects our lives, personal lives, our business lives. It motivates us in so many different ways, positive and negative. So we're going to spend the next 10 minutes talking about money and how our brain processes that and what we think about it. So I thought that would be something that would bring value to everybody. Full disclosure, full disclaimer, I am not a psychologist. Actually, this journey is pretty cool because I'm allowed to journal and kind of go walk on this journey with you guys. So I'd love to have an open discussion so you and I can kind of brainstorm around what money does, positive and negative, in our brains. So last time we talked about two different mindset. We talked about a growth mindset, which is kind of coming from abundance. We talked about a fixed mindset where we know that our brains just trigger that says, yeah, I can't do something. So we're going to transition today. We're actually going to talk about another topic. Actually, I use a lot in sales. It's called pain versus pleasure. So all of us as humans are motivated by pleasure. And unfortunately, everything that's painful in our lives, we kind of run away from pain. I don't know if you guys do that. I sure as heck did, and I continue to do so today. In fact, worked out this morning. It was painful. I was running away from that for sure. That treadmill got me today. So one of the things I want to kind of talk about is that when you go into this pain and pleasure, it actually can be used for good. So when we start to auto-correct ourselves, we talk about the pain of it. So specifically about money, I want you to, so when maybe you're having a tough situation, maybe your bank account's low, maybe you're not able to pay for the things that you want to provide for your family. And I personally have been there. My wife and I have been married 18 years. We have a beautiful daughter, Emma. She's 12. And there's times in our lives that we didn't have the money to pay for what we wanted, what we needed, and that's very painful. So when you look at that pain versus pleasure, it's important actually to know what that pain is, because that's the motivator or driver to change that situation for yourself. So one thing, I'll just be honest with you, one thing I did and what I continue to do that I'm working on for my mindset is that I tend to self-sabotage myself when it comes to money. So one of the things I do is I'll make X amount of dollars. My wife and I will be headed in the right direction financially, and then I'll self-sabotage. So what I mean by that for me is that I get tired, or I have a thought in my head that, yeah, I can't do that, or I can't afford that, or, that's irresponsible, or things like that. So that self-sabotage has really affected everything I've done. And I think when we're talking about money, it's a natural thing for us to go into that sabotage mode for a couple of reasons. So I think one of the things we're going to need to look at is how do we change the mindset around money so we don't self-sabotage ourselves? Because if we do, we're going to be just like a hamster on a wheel. We're just going to continue to make money and not use it to its best purpose, or we're going to look at money as a negative vice and a negative tool in our toolbox. So first thing that we're going to have to do is then reprogram or recondition our brain. We have to basically condition ourselves on what money is. And just like any conditioning, so if you're going to work out at the gym, it's a process and it takes time, and you have to constantly work at it daily. So I look at money daily, and I look at the mindset around money daily, because I know it's like a muscle that I'm using just like I would be using in the gym. And then if I don't constantly look at my thoughts around money, I know that I'll slip back into my old habits and my old patterns, which I'll get into in a few minutes. Because money is a tricky thing. We know we need it to survive, right? But there's so many negative connotations attached to it, and I'll kind of share with that in a couple minutes. So I didn't really grow up wealthy. To be honest with you, I grew up. I don't know if you guys were aware of my last video, but I grew up with great parents. But they got divorced when I was 10 years old. So there was that part of my life, and basically we grew up in Indianapolis, not in the greatest part of town. But my mother was hardworking. She worked at a factory, RCA, when they did records. So obviously I'm an 80s kid because she made records. My father worked construction. He continues to still work construction really hard. Super proud of both of them for the life they gave me. But I wouldn't say that I was rich. I wouldn't say that I had any special privileges. So I think when I grew up, or as I was growing up, my mindset around money, good or bad, was created at an early childhood. And I don't know if you guys have had similarities of that, to where our programming on how we focus on anything mindset related generally starts with our environment, or a lot of times our early childhood. And I'm going to give you just a kind of a quick story to kind of get you in the framework of where my mind is on money. So when I was 18, I decided to go to college. My parents could afford basically a state college. Of course, I didn't want to do that because I'm stubborn. So I went to a college, Johnson & Wales in Rhode Island. That's where I met my wife, which I'm excited about that and happy that we ended up doing everything we needed to do to get married. But there was a situation, and I wanted you to think about from a financial standpoint. When I went to this college, my parents couldn't afford the college that I chose. So I had to get a full-time job. Probably just like you, if you guys went to college, or I know you guys probably 2 or 3 jobs. A lot of my clients have multiple jobs. So you're working hard at 18, 19 years old. I worked at Macy's retail store, and at the time, my girlfriend Kim, she said, you should try and apply for a job at Nordstrom. And if any of you know, Nordstrom's a high-end retail store. Good morning. Hi, Ginger. Hi, Ann. And my mindset was, I can't work there. I don't have the wealth to work there. They're going to see right through me. They're going to know I'm some, quote, poor kid from Indiana. That was my mindset, whether it was true or whether it wasn't. That's what I thought. And my girlfriend at the time, she just pushed me. She said, you can do it. You can work there. You have great skills. So long story short, I did work there. I became a manager within a year. I was one of the youngest managers at Nordstrom at the time. Now this is, 1998, 99. So, but it started to change the trajectory of my mindset around money, because I started to work with people that had money. I started to work with doctors and lawyers that bought clothing from there. And then also, because I was pushed out of my element, I was surrounded by people that I wasn't comfortable with. So it changed the way that I looked at money. And I think that really started the trajectory of like my mindset and really my opinion about money and who had money and who didn't have money. Because in a lot of ways I had a negative connotation towards the type of people that had money. So I think that experience, I still thank my wife to this day for pushing me outside of my comfort zone. You grow around the people around you, right? So the money, I start to think about before I was going to do this video, I thought to think about what is my mindset around money? And I don't know if you've thought about it. And the more I do these Facebook Lives, the more I really just dive into my brain and think about it. And honestly, one of the biggest things, and I know that you might think this is crazy, but the more money I make, the more pain it may cause me. I mean, I don't know if you're thinking, oh, if I make a lot of money, I can do a lot of things. But for my mindset, I like to like people. I like people to like me. I like to be in a family that's supported. I like to be with friends that root behind me. And so my fear, which it comes into your mindset, is that people are going to think I'm greedy. People are going to think I'm taking advantage of them. People are going to think that I'm better than them. And that's a fear of mine around creating wealth for my family. And I don't want to create a divide around my friends. I don't want to create a divide around my family because I love all of them and I want the best for them. And yet in my mind, what's happening is that, am I really pumping the brakes a little bit because I'm worried about their judgment of me with having money, or am I worried about creating judgment for them? And I don't want that. And so that's a mindset that I have, and it doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just means that that's something that I struggle with, that creates that fear around money. Also, the abundance of money is unknown is the second thing. I don't know what a lot of money looks like. I'm comfortable now. My wife and I work hard. I'm blessed to have a career where I have amazing clients that work really hard, and I support, they support, we support each other on their businesses. But what does that look like? Am I going to make the best financial choices? Am I going to do things wrong? Am I going to invest money incorrectly? Am I going to spend money on things I shouldn't and then kind of have to start all over again? So these are two things that I think affects my mindset around money, and I'm just curious what you're thinking about money, you know? So the second thing we need to kind of talk about is what the word money means to you. So if you could just even put in the comments section, what do you think about money? What's the positive things you think about money? Think about it. What do you think money gives you? Anybody? I mean, what do you think that it creates in your life? And then the second thing I want you to think about is the negative connotations, which we kind of go there quicker, at least I do, because honestly, it's a situation where, hey, Tony, my brother's on here. I love you. It's a connotation that a lot of times when we're growing up, we heard about money in a negative way. So I don't know if you guys ever heard stories like, I love Hope. Hope says, money gives me the ability to be generous and to help others. That is 100% true. Can I get a like on that? Love that. But a lot of us go negative on money, and maybe that's me. I love freedom. That's awesome. Absolutely, it does. So I want to talk about the negative. Let's just talk about the pink elephant in the room. You know, we were taught at an early age. I was raised with two different religions. So I have more of the Baptist side on one side of my family, and then I have more of the Catholic side on the other. So I always call my fear or my mindset around money is the Catholic guilt. I'm a Catholic. I love them, but I create that anxiety I've created upon myself. And so a lot of negative things. Money is the root of all evil, right? Money doesn't grow on trees, right? And my biggest trigger is we can't afford it. When I hear that, and actually I think a couple weeks ago my wife said it with my daughter in front of me, and it was something simple. It wasn't like it was a Ferrari or something, and she just said, we can't afford it. And I just, like, my knee-jerk reaction was, don't say that, you know? And it's because my mind is starting to shift and change into what I need to focus on, which is looking at money in a positive way so it can help other people, so I can create abundance for my family, so I can give it away to my church. I can give it away to those that are in need in Harvey and Irma and all those other disasters that unfortunately are happening right now. Because if you can't feed yourself, you can't give it away. If you can't provide at the highest level for your family and put food on the table, then there is no abundance to give away, right? And I think we live our life to provide abundance to everyone else. So I want to kind of end this. It's a little longer than the typical Mindset Mondays that I do, but I want to end with there's 6 strategies that I'm using to improve my mindset. And I thought, Hope says, in my past, I have been unwise with money and spent more I made. I don't want to do it again. Amen. We've made money. It's like basically made a lot of money, and then we just go back down to the bottom of the mountain and have to climb back up again. So definitely being responsible with your money is a whole different topic that we're going to talk about in a couple weeks. But just the concept of making money and is it okay or not okay. So I want to talk to you about the 6 strategies that I use right now to work on my mindset. These are 6 things that I've created and grabbed from other people that I've influenced in my life, podcasts that I listen to, and these things are things that I do weekly. My wife doesn't probably even know half of these just because these are things that I do in private so I can focus on my mindset. And like I said at the last week's video, you got to protect it, like your mindset, like a vault. You really, really do, because unfortunately there's people that look at this as hocus pocus or nothing that's not real. And I think really 90% mindset, 10% is doing it or skill. And so we got to really focus on it. So the first thing I do is I create a massive pain list. What is that? So I write down the opportunities that I am not able to have because I don't have the money to do it. So if I want to invest in something, maybe stocks or maybe a business, I write that down because I don't have the money to do that. I've missed that opportunity. If I see a material object that I want, right now I want a watch. My wife knows that I want a particular brand and it's X amount of dollars, and I put that on my pain list because I cannot afford that at this current moment, right? The reason why we do that is because pain motivates us. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, is we got to remember, or live video here, that we've got to we run towards pleasure and we run away from pain. But if I'm actually focusing on the pain, I'm identifying and I actually can see it, then it catapults me into more action. The second thing I do is I create a clear path to new pleasure. So basically it's like a carrot and a stick. I said, okay, if I do X, Y, Z, I'm going to get that watch, or I'm going to buy that car, or I'm going to do whatever I need to do to hit that goal so I can create abundance in my family. And so for me, those first 2 are huge triggers for me. I focus on the pain because I need to know that, and it stings just like a bee sting or a cut, and then focus on the pleasure of when I do the activities, I'm going to relieve that pain. And so maybe it's a pain of not being able to help your mother and father at a high enough level. Maybe it's not giving the amount of money you want to give to your church. And then the other thing is that money isn't always about receiving material objects. It's opportunities, it's memories, like going to Disney World. It's going on a cruise. It's different things to different people. And I think we also got to look at that. So the third thing that I do is I create what I call an anchor to money. So I link it to a new belief system. So it's just like an anchor in a boat, and I anchor it. And I said, when I hit this goal, I will purchase X, Y, Z. So I will buy that watch or I will buy that car, right? So I'm anchoring it to something. So I focus on the pain. I look at the pleasure and the steps and the activities I have to do, and then I anchor it to where I know that that's going to, if I do that, it's going to anchor. It's going to put me in the place I want to be, just like a boat. Where there's an anchor, it will keep you put. It will not allow that boat to continue to move around in the water, right? So anchor it. That's the third thing. And then every single day, I want to feel gratitude, humility, and possibilities of wealth provided to me. Because remember, my mindset is that I'm nervous about the perception of me having money. I'm fearful that someone's going to think that I'm greedy or I'm selfish or I'm better than them, because that is not my intent, or that's not my belief. So for me, I have to every day understand that I am humble and I am grateful and I am full of gratitude for the wealth that I currently have and the abundance that I'm going to have in the future, because from my mindset, I need to reset that negative connotation around the money. The fourth thing that I focus on